sister's here. It's her first StorySlam. We grew up in a very, very, very conservative Muslim fundamentalist household. There was no Christmas, just the fasting, just the Ramadan. So, again, so we wake up, you're really, really hungry for a month, obviously like sexually deprived. We have like a very strict father. There's this rule that we learned, it's called like the sunnah of the prophet. So it's like the way that the prophet lived. And one of the rules was, if you're an unmarried woman, you're not allowed to be with a man alone because the third person in the room is the devil. So unless it's your husband, your brother, or your father, it's just like you and your relatives until you get married. So that's how my sister and I were actually raised. They spent a lot of money sending her to an Islamic school, sending me to an all-girls school, making sure no boys. So like, here we are, this is Princeton, New Jersey, Sharia law in Princeton, New Jersey. So we're just like hanging out, we're like fasting for Ramadan. It's a lunar calendar, which some of you are familiar with. And so you don't even know when you get to stop fasting, like which day is the last day of this month. So you go outside on like the 29th night, and if you see the new moon, that means the next day is the first day of the next month. And then you finally get to like have this big holiday, and you get to eat during the day, and it's like very, very exciting. So we go out with my dad, there's 4 of us, 2 brothers, they're allowed to do whatever they want. So, so we see the moon, and we know that Eid al-Fitr is the next day. So we're very excited, we get to get dressed up, we get to go to the mosque. So this is when I'm a little bit older, I'm home from college for the holiday, right? So, home from college for the holiday, visiting, there are 4 of us. This is 2003, so a couple years after 9/11. We are walking to prayer. There are like hundreds of people in central Jersey, if not thousands, going to prayer pre-COVID. Thousands of Muslims. We're all celebrating. We're walking down the parking lot to go to this big firehouse to pray, to celebrate after fasting for a month. We're all hungry. We're so excited. We get to eat after prayer. My dad gets stopped in the parking lot by these 2 guys in suits, 2 like white dudes in suits. They're the FBI. So in case y'all are not aware of like what happened to Muslims in America after 9/11, they were all up in our business. So they basically are like to my dad, we need to talk to you. Like, do you have a few minutes? He's like, I'm celebrating a holiday. I've got 4 kids. Like, they're home from college. My little brother was like young. He's like, can you please do this at my house later? And they're like, sure, we'll come back after. Parents are immigrants, they don't really know their rights. We go back to our house, 4 agents come, we just want to eat. Like, we're so hungry, we have not eaten in a month. So we just want to eat. So there are these 4 agents, and this is something that's like really interesting about the FBI when they're trying to like interrogate people. So there are 3 guys, 3 dudes, and they send one really, really attractive female woman, right? So like the female woman is supposed to like sort of seduce, sort of flirt with my dad, but if you remember the rule about not being able to be in a room with someone you're not married to or directly related, not even an uncle, just direct. So he doesn't look at her. She goes in the kitchen with my mom, they're like cooking Eid food. So these 3 guys are left in the room, my sister and I are just like hanging out, and my brothers are there too. They go to my dad, and they say, we have information that leads us to believe that you're housing these 2 terrorists in your home. So they show us these pictures of these like two young terrorist guys. And so my dad also doesn't take interest, so he didn't take a loan out in a house. So we lived in a tiny, tiny house. There were 2 bedrooms for 6 of us. So just logistically, we didn't have room for terrorists. And like, so that was number 1. So, and second of all, my dad like looks at them, looks at this picture of these 2 terrorists. My sister and I are like, they're kind of hot. And like, it's the only men we've ever seen. Like, wish they were here. So then my dad like looks at these FBI agents, shows like literally shows the FBI agents that he has 2 daughters, and he goes to the FBI agents, literally does not acknowledge the accusation of housing terrorists, 0% important. He goes, do you see my 2 unmarried daughters? Like, how do you think you can come in my house and disrespect me and say that I have, like, literally allowed these 2 unmarried men to come into my house? So they're like backtracking. They're like, we're so sorry, sir. We didn't mean to offend you, blah, blah. They leave, blah, blah. All done. So, we have an oral tradition. My dad told us a lot of stories, so this is the first time in like 10 or 15 years that I've been coming to StorySlams that I've been brave enough to come up here. But it's in honor of him. He passed due to COVID in February. And yesterday, I had my first Christmas tree ever. We were never allowed to have one. I decided to get one this year, and I was like, my dad doesn't know. And I have a knock at my door yesterday morning, and it's 2 FBI agents that come to my house for some questioning, which as Muslims in America we're pretty used to. And I thought, as I stood there in my living room typing up my finals with the FBI agents and my Christmas tree, I'm like, I am truly home for the holidays. Yeah!